What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? This wonderful night that we're having. This is Big Dog Mobile Mechanic. I wanted to make this video, and it's kind of crappy, and I'm sorry, guys, that I had to do it like this. But I wanted to bring up an issue that was happening with a car that I was working on this week. After some extensive diagnosing and brain working as hard as I could work it, I was trying to figure out where an engine vacuum leak was coming from, and I was having a hard time trying to find it. And I wanted to explain to you guys, several things that I had thought that I assumed there was a problem on this engine. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, my little mouse deal right here, but so basically, you got your intake. This is your upper intake right here. This is called the plenum upper intake. And this is the lower intake. This part is aluminum, and this part is plastic. It's supposed to be a special plastic that can withstand, high temperatures, which I think is crap. But anyways, uh, then you have your, this is called the EGR tube. So basically, the EGR tube comes from the EGR valve, which is located. Let's say this is on top of your engine, right? So you towards this way to the right, the EGR valve is located around the back somewhere. And so basically, uh, this tube, this part right here that's curved, I don't know if you guys can see that. The part that's curved, this is a front, this is another one right here. I don't know why I have two of them in here. I should have, let me X out of this one and put the one that I actually wanted to show y'all. Here you go. Okay. This one here, X out by accident. This one here, this part is this part right here. Okay, so this part, which is this one here, goes bolted up right here. In this little area right here, it gets bolted up right there. Okay, so the issue that I was experiencing, there was a vacuum leak, and I assumed that it was right here in this area because of the fact I was looking up some videos, and there's an issue with these 3800s Series 2 engines on the, I guess, Impalas, LaCrosses, uh, and the Sabres, which was the one I was working on. The one I was working on was a 2002 Buick LeSabre. So, anyways, from looking at these videos, there was a common problem with this intake warping right in this. Let me get closer. It was warping in this little area right here because of the fact this little piece right here, the EGR valve gets hooked up to here, and there's a little pipe that goes stuck in there. And this little pipe that runs through this little right here hole through the plastic of the upper intake plenum was too close to the plastic in the hole. So what was happening is that with the heat and the high temperatures, it was melting, or let me rephrase that. It was warping the surface area right here where the intake sits against the lower intake, which is this part, and it was warping them, causing them to leak and suck air through there. And also, it was sucking a little bit of coolant because these two little holes here, I don't know if you guys can see that, this hole here and this hole here, these are coolant passages. These coolant passages go through here, which it goes through the throttle body, which the throttle body gets bolted to right here. Okay, so that was it. That was the one issue. So I figured, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and change the gaskets. And the reason I couldn't see it where the leak was at was because you have the throttle body that sits right here, and you can't really see under here. So then after like two times that I've changed the intake out, I used another intake out from another previous engine that I had took out of this car, this same car that I'm working on now, and I had put this engine in there. So I thought, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and try the other intake. So I tried the other intake, swapped everything out, put it on this one, torqued it down, and it started doing it again. There was no changes. It was the same thing. It was shaking real bad. It was running rough. It was idling up high. After running it 30 miles, it would idle up to like almost 3,000 RPMs, which is not good. So anyway, after some extensive researching and looking up, finally I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and take this throttle body off. So what I did is I took this throttle body off, and I started looking at this tube, and I was like, you know what? What if this tube is leaking? But actually, I forgot to mention, guys, which I should have done first. What I actually did was I was spraying around this area right here, but I never could see where the leak was coming from. I just knew that it would make a change every time I sprayed here. So then after like the third time when I took the throttle body off, I didn't even have to take the intake off anymore. All I had to do was take the throttle body off. And so what I decided to do is I took the EGR tube off, which is this one right here, and I held this end with my thumb and blew through this end with my mouth. And I noticed that there was air coming out in this area somewhere. So basically, this thing, I guess with the heat and high temperatures, it gets like brittle, because the one that was on there was kind of like, it looked like it was maybe brass or something. Maybe this is brass too, but it was kind of a different color. It looked kind of like a copper color. But anyways, it was leaking air right here somewhere behind underneath this thing. So I'm assuming it might have cracked and it had holes in there. So then I took this EGR tube off of the other motor that I was talking about, that I got the other intake off of, and I did the same thing. I held my thumb right here on this end, and I blew through this end, and I couldn't blow through it. So I was like, okay, well, I can't blow through this, so then this one's good. So then I put this one, the one from the other motor, and I put it on the vehicle. And guess what, guys? Problem was solved. It wasn't sucking air anymore. It wasn't idling up high anymore. As a matter of fact, the RPMs went down to 800. In the beginning, when you would turn the engine on, the RPMs were like 1,000 when you first started. Then it would go up to like 12, then 15, and then when it started idling up real high, it would go like to 25, 28 RPMs, and it would stay up, and it would go up and down and idle up high, and it would just, the engine was bouncing all over the place. So I mean, after I did this, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you guys and say, oh, the engine was sounded it fixed it up 100%. No, it didn't, guys. But my thing was that it stopped sucking air. It wasn't actually the fuel trims were a lot better than they were before I solved this problem, because the fuel trim, it was running lean, and once I corrected the problem, the fuel trim it straightened up a lot better than it was. The engine sounded better. It was quieter. Uh, Ran better. It wasn't bucking, because when it had the problem, before I fixed this problem, it was bucking. It was like jerking when I would accelerate it and floor it a little bit to pick up speed on the highway. It would start jerking, and it didn't want to go. So, anyways, guys. So basically, what I was making the video for is guys, whenever you're trying to diagnose a problem with a vacuum, or whatever it is that you're trying to diagnose that has to do with the vacuum leak, make sure that you're very thorough at what you're doing. Make sure to check every single thing. And my suggestion to you guys is use a evap smoke machine, a smoke leak detector machine. That thing will save you some time. And I'm telling you guys, and I don't have one personally. I've used them in the past. I just ordered one here recently, like 3 or 4 days ago, and I'm so glad I did, because man, I think I could have solved this problem a lot faster if I had uh, that evap smoke leak detector machine. And let me tell you guys, man, tools is a must. If you want to be in this industry, if you want to be working on cars, if you're doing mechanic stuff, you need to have tools. Tools is everything. Without certain tools, I'm telling you guys, man, you're gonna have a hard time trying to identify problems like this, especially. Uh, so in case you guys out there that don't, if you have an issue with the vacuum leak on the 3800s in this area, and I'm just gonna say for this area because this is a problem that I was having. If you have a leak right here in this area where I'm circling at right here with this arrow, make sure this right here. Don't worry about this guys. This right here, this is just like for the coolant, a coolant passage right here. So this right here, this doesn't have anything to do with vacuum. The only thing that has to do with vacuum is this little hole right here where the EGR tube goes to, and the right here, and the right here where the intake sits on top of here, and also where the intake sits right here. This is the lower part of it. But if you have an issue like this, guys, just remember to check right here. Check that tube. Make sure you don't overlook this tube and take it off. My suggestion is take it off, blow through it. If you can blow through it, and air, you'll hear air coming out of it. You'll feel it because you'll be able to blow through it real easily. Not real easily, but you'll know that when there's a hole right there because I felt it right away when I blew through it. So make sure, guys, that whenever you're doing this problem right here, this is gonna solve your problem. And like I said, make sure you thoroughly check everything. Check this, check the intake gasket, check this right here. Make sure there's no cracks in this lower intake because these can crack. Check this for the cracks. Check for leak. Check for this part on the bottom as well. Check the lower one. Because I checked the lower one too, but there wasn't none coming. There wasn't no leak right there. But that's all I wanted to mention, guys. I just wanted to make this video, even though I didn't want to make it like this because I wanted to make it a different way, but I kept messing up on it. So that's why I finally made one that hopefully will be helpful to you guys that are working. And let me describe the cars, okay? The cars that this problem is it might be on is going to be, I think it's the Chevy Impalas, Buick LaCrosses, Buick LeSabres, and I don't know what other vehicles, but those vehicles for sure. Around, I want to say maybe 2099 all the way to like maybe 2005. These motors have those issues. If you have issue with any kind of one of those cars with this 3800 Series 2 engine, make sure that you check all this stuff that I just mentioned, and you will save yourself some time. So, if you like this video, uh, give me a thumbs up. Free feel to make comments. Thank you.